once again.
Hello again, it's Jimmy here at O'Reilly's, and today we've got a little bit of time to kill before our next job, so we've got a list that we need to do with our own van, which is change the brake fluid, so we thought why not we'll make a video on it here and show you how we're doing. So here we have our brake fluid bottle. You can see this sign on the top here, it's a general sign that's on every bottle. We're going to start here. I'm going to try and make this video as short as possible. First thing we'll do is spray it with brake cleaner. Then here, what we use for most stuff that we're doing car wise is these ultra grime wipes. Use one of these. It's basically like a wet rag already. And we're going to wipe any dust away from the top of the bottle. You don't want any dust getting in your brake reservoir here. And while we're at it, we can just clean up the whole bottle, which makes it a little bit easier for us to see in it. Not that you can see much through these bottles anyway. And we can get our cap off here. And then if you've got a little filter inside, we're going to take that out too. And what we have here is a Sealey oil and fluid extractor. Now you don't have to use something as big as this. There's lots of other stuff you can use, like there's needle-sized syringes, extraction fluid syringes and stuff you can get, turkey basters, anything like that. But this is what we're using. We're going to get our end, put it inside our reservoir, then we're going to pump that fluid out. Until you hear that noise there, you'll hear the reservoir is now empty. And our next step here is to refill this reservoir. We've just got a little bottle here that we use for this. It's pressure. Just pushes it back in here. So we're going to fill this up again. Just going to keep that filling until we get it to the top. Now our bottle is full here. We'll get our mesh filter, put it back. And we're going to put our lid. Just rest it on top. We're not going to tighten it up yet because we want air to come through it, but we're just putting the cover back on to stop any dust going in while we're doing the fluid change. So my master cylinder is on the front right hand side on this van here, and we're going to start at the back of the van. General rule is to start from the furthest corner, which is the other side, but we're just flushing the fluid, so it doesn't really make much difference. We're going to start at the back, then move to the front. Now here you're going to need someone inside the van. And what I'm going to say is press and hold, which means you're going to press once, then release, then press a second time and hold it. Whilst he's holding that, he's going to need to hold his foot on the pedal. Whilst he's holding that, we're going to open the bleed nipple. The bleed nipple's open, we're going to drain the fluid, close the bleed nipple, then tell him to release, and he can release his foot. And if you don't have two persons, I'll show you another way you can do it single-handedly. Our next step is to find our bleed nipple, which is here at the top of the caliper, and we're just going to clean it off a little bit. Spray with some brake cleaner and wire brush. Once we've got this nipple open, you can have something underneath ready to catch your fluid, like a little pan here, like anything, basically a little bowl or something. Or in our case, we've got this little bottle here. It's a one-man bleed kit, but you can use it as a catch for the fluid. And here is the part model number for that, Sealey VS0201. Got an 11mm spanner here. This is especially for brake pipes or brake nipple. So we're going to put it on and tell our driver or person that's in the driving seat to press and hold, and then we're going to open it, and you'll see the fluid coming through the pipe. And once you see that slowing down, we're going to close it again, release. He's going to release the brake, press once, then press and hold. Once he's done that, we'll open again. So his foot's down on the pedal now, and we're receiving fluid into our little bottle here. Saves us making a mess. And we don't need to do a whole lot of this. I'm going to fill this bottle about a quarter of the way, and then this side will be done. Close. Release the brake. Now he's released the brake. The important part is you need to make sure the nipple is closed in the closed position while he's releasing the brake. If you release the brake without closing the nipple, you're going to suck air into it. But with this device, this stops you sucking air in anyway. So again, another way to do it with this is you can attach this, and then you can go inside and actually just press the pedal yourself. Press release, and this will not allow air to go back in. And the handy thing about this little bottle is, if we can get the pipe to straighten out, it's got a little magnetic holder on it here, which allows it to hold in position while you're doing it, so you can watch the levels. It's a handy little bottle for about £8, nice and cheap. I've seen people make these from a Coke bottle and a piece of this 6mm tube in here. But for what it costs, you can just buy something like this. It comes as a little magnet and tube already. It's a lot of hassle to go and look for the tubing and getting a Coke bottle and making one. And remember to top up your bottle after each wheel. Make sure you don't drop your levels below the minimum here. But we're only draining a minor amount from each wheel, so that's not going to happen. But obviously just top it up before you do each wheel. So here we're full now. Now we can move on to the other rear side wheel. And again, top up your bottle. And we can move on to our front wheels. And get over to our nipple on here. And it's the same story on the front. Just clean up all of this loose dust from the front. And then brake cleaner, just to get it all off there. And the same procedure again on the fronts. I'm going to stick a little magnetic bottle here and then attach our other end to this nipple here. Just push that in. And for these fronts, we're going to show you another procedure, another way of doing it. Is if you get yourself one of these Sealey brake and clutch bleeding system, and this is VS820.V4, whether or not that makes a difference. And it's got this little pressure gauge on here. We're going to pump this up. We've got the other end connected into our bottle here. We're going to pump it up anywhere between 10 and 20 on the pressure gauge there, and just make sure that you've got some fluid in it. We're about here on our levels. And the good thing about this automatic bleeder, the brake and clutch bleeder here, is you don't need a second person either with this. You just build that pressure up, and we can go ahead and open our nipple here. And you'll see the fluid coming out. So our pressure bleeder up there is going to keep that pressure, pumping our fluid in here. And again, remember, most of our fluid is inside the reservoir up the top. Just in here, most of our fluid is all kept inside here. There's only a very minor amount that are actually in the fuel lines. Sorry, not fuel lines, the brake lines. So this bottle is just about where it needs to be. So we're going to stop that. Now we can move on to the other side. And I can show you a third way of doing it from this procedure, another procedure again on the other wheel, using this bottle. Before we move to the next wheel again, make sure bottle is full. This is one of the most important steps. Anything to do with your brakes is important, but if you let this go low, you're just going to keep yourself going around in circles and circles, because your brakes are going to keep going soft when you get air in them. So make sure your bottle's always full. And again, same business about cleaning up your nipple. Stick this pipe on here, and we've got our bottle over here attached. Now we're going to get our spanner, open our brake reservoir, brake nipple on the caliper here, and then we're going to go inside, put our foot on the brake. Once we're pumping that through a few times, I'm going to fill this bottle up. Bottle's full. We've closed the caliper over and pulled our bottle off. And that's just one of the ways you can bleed the brakes. Little one-man brake bleeder there. But it's, even if you're not using it as a one-man brake bleeder, it's handy just to catch your overflow fluid. Once you're finished with your old fluid, you can what we do is we put in our little old oil drums here. This was new oil, but now it's empty, so we use it as a waste oil container and just empty it in there in with our mixed oil, and we give this to our friend who's got a used oil burner for a heater. If you don't have one of those, obviously you can bottle these up, take them to your nearest recycling centre. Now all we've got to do is put our wheel back on. Once all that's done, you're going to start your vehicle up and press your foot on the brake, hold it pressed, and just make sure that your pedal is not slowly dropping to the floor. Make sure that it should compress sort of halfway down and then stay in a solid position. It shouldn't keep going to the floor. If your pedal goes to the floor, you've got a problem with air in the system. As long as your pedal feels nice and smooth, you're going to just test your brakes. As long as there's nothing in front of you or nothing behind, just try out your brakes and make sure they're working okay. And it's all okay, so we'll move on to the next bit. So that's all complete, and I hope we haven't missed anything out, so see you the next time.